Good movement. This is McNamara. Why are you pumping out so many videos? Because I have nothing to do, man. All the people I like watching, there's nothing on. That's why I make video, obviously. I know you guys enjoy my satellite shows. When I'm hanging, I'm making videos for you. I keep saying that, right? I'm not gonna have you do like that either. So, you deserve it. There you go. Hope you guys enjoy my CFO videos. Yeah. All you Canadian people are probably wondering, Ivan, man, like, who like football, Ivan, like, seriously, man, what's the answer to fixing the CFL? Um, like, what's the answer? What's the key to fixing it? What's the answer, Ivan? Why is the CFL not popular? Why does it happen more growth? I told you there are two reasons. Either people in Canada just don't care about Canadian football, which could be a plausible reason. That's why it's struggling with growth. Or they're not resonating with the CFL's star players who are American. That's my other answer. So one of those answers are true. I don't know which one's true, but one of those answers are true, obviously. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how do you know they're not resonating with the star players? Because I don't resonate with them. Ever since I watched CFL since I was a kid, even though these players were star players, I never really resonated with them because they're American. But when I was a kid, I was clueless. I didn't know about like the rules and all that stuff. But I knew they were American players. I'm like, yeah, this is the CFL. Why are all the star players all these American guys? And as I got older, I studied the league rules and everything, and then I knew, oh my god, the CFL has a rule where they have to start 7 Canadian starters per team. And all these American guys, and I figured it out. I figured it out. Yeah, but gee, I mean, geez, I know. I figured it out. Yeah, but yeah, whenever the CFO promotes these American guys, even though like it's pretty cool, I care a little bit about them. I don't really care about them that much because I don't resonate with them. They're American. And I have a feeling that a lot of these Canadian people feel that way. If I don't feel that way as a Canadian, I guarantee a lot of people in Canada feel that way. That's why they don't really care about the games. A lot of these guys want to see the CFL draft picks shine, but not gonna happen. That's why they don't care that much about the games, or they just don't care about Canadian football. Period. That's my other answer, obviously, right? Regardless of even if you don't think Canadian town, it won't make a difference. They just don't care about football in Canada. That's my other answer, obviously. One of those answers are true. Yeah. One of those answers are true. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. Guys, I'm saying tomorrow I work at Dinty's. Yeah. I'm running out of money, man. Out of money, yeah. I have just enough till next Sunday, pretty much. Starting tomorrow, I can only get a pack of smokes. Can't get beer anymore. I have just enough until like next. I also have my cans. I have just enough until like next Saturday. Well, next Sunday when I get paid, like $200. But yeah, yeah. Why? Do you see a difference in quality with the Canadian players and the American star players when they play? No, not really. Maybe a little bit of a difference. The American players are a little more athletic. I don't really see that much of a difference, obviously. But the American players are a little more athletic and they have the edge. There's some Canadian players who are just as good, if not better, man. Like Brad Sinopoli was just as good as all the best receivers in the league, or these American guys. So like he put up 1,000, was putting up 1,000+ yards a season. I didn't see that much of a difference. But if you get rid of all the American guys, now you'll see the difference in quality because the Canadian players are not as athletic as the American players. The American players are more athletic than Canadian players. They put on more of a show when they play. It feels like it's a bit better quality Carson Smith than the Canadian players, obviously. That's why it's never going to happen. Yeah, there you go. So the CFL is obviously trying to be the NFL of Canada, obviously, right? That's why they do that. And the NFL is so popular in the States because the American players are so good over there. Let's get the leftovers and bring them up here, and hopefully we attract the Canadian people. But like, even the reason why the NFL is so popular because football is very popular in the States, and the American football fans can resonate with these American players because they're from the same country. Whereas if you bring all these American guys to Canada, the people in Canada aren't resonating with these American guys because they're from a different country. They may be talented, but they're obviously not resonating with these American players. CFL, or they just don't care about the name football. That's my other answer. Why, if you so yeah, but I know. Look, man, I know you guys are scared about the dip in quality. It really makes a huge difference. But I know you guys are scared of the little bit of a dip in quality. That's why you have to put the receivers, the O line, the D linemen through better offseason training, and coaching by the coaches. That way you get a better performance on the field. That's what I'm telling them. Ivan, you're a genius. You're convincing us, but no, man, it's too risky. Obviously, I tell them, guys, man, this could be huge in 10 years. Like, I'm not kidding around. Your league revenue could double in 10 years, man. Because the Canadian players, the Canadian players have higher market value than the American players. Yeah, they do, Ivan. Because the people of Canada can relate to them more, yes, but they're not as talented, Ivan. That's why it's never going to happen. Never going to happen, also. Yeah. Obviously. The CFL obviously believes that the best way to grow the league is by promoting the Canadian Football League, the American product on the field to the Canadian people. Obviously, that's what they want. That they believe is the best way to grow the league because they're blinded by the talent. Yeah, they're talented. We don't care if they never want to be or if people can't resonate them. They're so talented. We're going to show that's how we grow the league. I'm like, okay, that's just a very weird way of growing the league. I'm just saying. I don't hate him saying, So I would be more interested. Yeah, if the CFL if they were talking about the franchise Canadian quarterbacks, and now I'm more interested. I'm more invested in the league. Yeah, I wonder which of these quarterbacks are going to take their team to the CFL. And you know what I'm saying? And when the CFL keeps promoting the Canadian players, a lot of people, students at the university will recognize. Oh, I recognize this guy. He played at this guy's university. I went to the same schools, and I'll tune into the game. And more people will start tuning in. That's how you grow the league. But the CFL will say, no, we can't do that either. Good business strategy. It's risky. I'm like, yeah, that's why it's never going to happen. I will step down and see what commissioner about if I was CFL commissioner. Yeah, guys, I'm stepping down. I can't think of any other way of growing your league. But I believe this is the way to grow your league. I know you think it's risky, but I think this is the key to fixing your CFO financial struggles and growth. Obviously, yeah, you got a good point there. Maybe our league is not growing because we're marketing the CFL mainly with American product on the field to the Canadian people. Yeah, I think that's the reason. Or the fans just don't care about Canadian football. That's another reason. Obviously, they just don't care. Yeah, that's my other answer. Yeah, yeah. Give me a second. I'll use the bathroom. Back in a sec. Don't hate me. Guys, you know my show. Ready, guys. I have to use the bathroom. I have work tomorrow. So I'll make a video when I come back from work tomorrow, right? Work activities tomorrow, right? Are you admitting you could be wrong? Yes. Yeah. He's the reason why the reason why the Seahawks are struggling to grow. The fans just don't care about Canadian football. That's my other answer. Obviously, they just don't care. Or there are a lot of fans who do love it, but they don't really care about the American star players. That's my other reason, obviously. Yeah. That's how you know. Yeah, that's how I know it has nothing to do with the quality of the CFL game. The reason why the fans are not interested in the CFL is it has nothing to do with the quality. There has to be another reason. And I figured out. I know the reason. It's the American talent problem in the league, and that's the reason I believe why the fans of Canada don't really care when you market them to the Canadian people. They don't really care that much, or they just don't care about Canadian football. Period. They don't care at all. That's my other answer. I think those are good answers to the CFL's financial struggles. Obviously. All right. I mean, how do you know there's a possibility they don't really care about the American star players in the CFL? Because I don't resonate with them that much. I don't really care that much because they're American. I can't really resonate with them. That's my point, right? I care a little bit, yeah. Can this QB take his QB the great job? It's cool and everything, but like, I don't really care that much because I cannot resonate with those guys. They're American players. That's my point, right? I have my automatic Canadian bias, so I don't really resonate with those American players. That's my answer. I remember Herb Brooks. All-star teams fail because they rely solely on the individual's talents. Yeah. We also need to change the way we play the game. You know what I'm saying? They thought he was crazy. He pulled it off, but yeah, he pulled it off, Herb Brooks. My room's a mess. I gotta clean it. It's completely messy. Yeah. Why? You believe the CFL's struggling? Yeah. CFL's really struggling to really attract the Canadian people, obviously. Yeah. CFO will obviously be like, yeah, Ivan, nah, man, that's a bad idea. I think this is the best way to go. Yeah, I know, because the American players put on a show on television. You think this is the best way to go? Yes, Ivan, this is how we grow the league. Okay, so what's your business strategy of growing a league with American star players, promoting these guys, marketing these guys? and they have no. Oh, we don't have an answer, Ivan. We tried everything we could. The fans just don't really care that much about our Canadian football. Yes, so there has to be a reason why they don't care. CFL either they don't care about Canadian football, or there's a bigger market for it, but it's not with the American product, it's with the Canadian product. That's my answer. But I mean, I also could be wrong. Maybe they just don't care about Canadian football. That's my other answer, honestly. Yeah, yeah. The CFO disagrees with me. Of course they do. Yeah, and if hypothetically speaking, if we made this change, we believe the revenue would even dip. The league would make less money because of the quality of the game, Ivan. That's why they're never going to make that choice. Yeah, Ivan, it's risky, man. The quality will dip. So we'll make less money. That's what they. Yeah, that's obviously. Yeah, guys, I'm sorry. Yeah, Sarah? Yeah. So CFL's gonna have to find a way to what to really promote the what to get the people kind of interested in their games because the league is obviously struggling with growth. Obviously, that's my answer. Obviously, we're gonna have to find a way to get the people to be interested in the CFL. Obviously, the CFL really market the heck out of the guys. Yeah, they do. On TSN, they try. Well, like I'm saying, the CFL on TSN, you see the picture of like this receiver, this American receiver, this quarterback. Yet the people kind of don't really care. So obviously something is not working. Either they just don't care about Canadian football, or they don't resonate with the American players. That's my answer. But I mean, one of those answers are true. So yeah, so, Sarah. Yeah, yeah. You think there's a lot of fans who do love Canadian football? Yeah, there is. There is, but I believe they don't really care about the CFL because all the Canadian players who they knew who played high school or who played university or drafted, they're not shining in the CFL. That's why they don't really care. They don't tune into the games. Yeah, none of these, barely any of these guys are stars. All these American guys who I know nothing about. I'm not really invested in the CFL. I don't really care. They don't tune into the games, or they just don't care about Canadian football. That's my other reason, obviously. I hear cheats. I know. Yeah. And don't forget, the Canadian people know all these American football players. This was not their dream. They're not stupid. Yeah, we know these guys are from America, which means their dream was playing the NFL. It wasn't playing here. They're only here by default. And some of these guys, when they get NFL opportunities, they ditch the CFL when the fans love them and everything, and they go to the NFL. So it's like you can't really resonate with those American guys. And that's how I feel personally with the American players. I don't really resonate with them that well because they're American, they're from a different country. So it's tough for me to resonate with them. I don't know anything about them. And I know they never really wanted to be here. They're only here by default. And some of them leave the NFL. So when they leave the NFL, it finally hits me, yeah, they use the CFL to get another NFL shot. Obviously. So it's tough for me to really resonate with those American players. That's my point, right? But the CFL doesn't care either. We don't care. Like, we're blinded by their talent. Yeah, they're very talented. They put on a show. This is how we're going to league. I mean, yeah, I know. They're talented American players. They put on a show. They really do. The American players in the CFL put on a show on television, right? They put on a show more than the Canadian players. But the Canadian star players also put on a show. And they do either, but they're not like as the American guys either. They're not as talented. That's why they're the stars up here. They put on the show, yeah, because you're trying to be the NFL of Canada. CFL. That's why you do this. As you even made your rule change, that's similar to the NFL, obviously. And that's how you know the CFL. They're obviously they're trying to be the NFL of Canada. That's why they bring all the American guys up here to play, to be the stars up here. They're trying to be the NFL of Canada. Yeah. Who's there? They're trying to be the NFL of Canada. So, sorry? Oh. Yeah. That's why we believe the CFL brings the American guys, yes. This because the CFL's jealous of the NFL. The NFL is so popular in the States, it makes its tens of billions, obviously. Okay, the best players in the NFL are all these American amazing athletes. We bring some of the leftovers from the States to Canada, and they put on a show up here. Hopefully our league grows like the NFL, but I mean, yeah, football's not that popular in Canada. It's not that big of a market for it compared to the States. And the CFL knows, I'm talking to you, if you want your star players to be the American players in your league, you now have no choice but to market them to the Canadian people. We have to market them, yeah. You have to market them on television to the Canadian people, and yet people still don't care. So obviously something is not working. There has to be a reason why your league's not growing. No, I'm saying, yeah. I'm sorry. The league is growing, but it's having minimal growth. Wow, the CFL is growing by maybe 15 million extra every year in revenue. So it's minimal growth, but they're not seeing substantial growth like 30 million every year. They're seeing minimal growth, like 10, 12, 15 million dollars. Substantial growth is maybe 25, 30 million. That's big growth. That's substantial growth, but they're not seeing that kind of growth in CFL. Sarah? Oh, Hamson, yeah. But the league has grown in the past 20 years. As the salary cap has gone up significantly since the early 2000s. The early 2000s, the players made way, way less than what they make now. So the league has grown, obviously, but I mean, yeah. That's my point, right? Yeah. Yeah. So when the CFO markets all these American players, you're clueless. I have no clue who these. I know these guys. I know their names and they're talented, but I have no idea who these guys are. I don't know anything about them. You know what I'm saying? So I don't really resonate with them that much. The star players when they promote them to the Canadian people on television. Yeah, they're talented, but I don't really care that much because they're from a different country. That's how I feel. I don't really care that much. I don't resonate with them. American players from a different country. It's tough for me to resonate with them. But because it's entertaining football and everything, I'll watch the games here and there. But I mean, I don't resonate with those American guys. That's my point. Right? That's my answer. There you go. Oh, but yeah, me as a Canadian, if me as a Canadian, I don't resonate with these American guys, I guarantee a lot of people in Canada don't resonate with those guys either. That's why they don't really care about the football games, or they just don't care about Canadian football. Period. They just I don't care about Canadian football. I'd rather watch hockey, the NHL, obviously. And that's the reason why I believe TSN really talks about the CFL compared to the NFL. They talk about the CFL, but not the way they talk about the NHL, right? TSN is all about hockey all the time. They talk about NHL free agency. When McDavid goes to Toronto Maple Leafs, they talk about that. They talk about even NHL free agency. CFL free agency, they don't talk. The TSN doesn't talk about it. CFL free agency, they kind of keep it behind closed doors. Yeah, like the press will talk about it and they talk about it on the team website, but they don't talk about it on the panel doesn't talk about CFL free agency on TSN. They talk about NHL free agency all the time, right? In Canada right now. And then when the GMs lose their star players to the NFL, they're all pissed off. Fuck, man, I just lost my star player to the NFL. I'm like, yeah, guys, they're American. You know this. Their team was not playing here. It's playing in the NFL. They're only here by default, guys. And when the GMs and coaches lose those star players in the NFL, they're all pissed off. And they have that thought, yeah, these guys used our CFL to get NFL too. Well, what did you expect, man? The dream was not playing here, guys. The dream's not playing in CFL. We know it. We don't care. We're talented. We don't care if they never want to be here. Hopefully, they, they, they put on a show. We grow the league and because they're amazing players. They put on a show on television. Let's try our best to keep them here. But like the CFL cannot compete with the NFL when it comes to money, man. It just we can't. They can't compete with the NFL at all. NFL has bigger pockets than the CFL. Yeah, yeah. All right. Do the American players make the minimum when they play up here? Yeah, they do. And then when they become CFL stars, that's when they can negotiate for the bigger deals. But I told you, they can make more money. It's not the money that they're making in the NFL. The NFL can easily pay them their millions, way more than what CFL can pay them. CFL cannot compete with the NFL at all when it comes to salaries, man. It's not even close. Yeah, we can't compete with them. So the best thing we can do is just offer them a bit more money and hopefully they stay here. But I mean, we cannot compete with the NFL. Yeah, you can't compete with the NFL when it comes to money, and they lose a lot of star players in the NFL. That's how it works, right? The GMs and coaches are pissed off. But for the Canadian athletes, you don't have to worry about that, man. Like all those Canadian players, their dreams playing here. They don't care about the NFL, the Canadians. Their dreams playing pro football here because they're Canadian, obviously. Got some Sarah? I do. Some of the CFL players come back in the NFL. Yeah, a lot of them, they're in the NFL for maybe 2 years. They get released. And then when they get released, they come back here. And usually after they get released by the NFL, when they come back here, if they get another NFL opportunity, they'll say no. Because they know their chances are starting at some high. They just, yeah, this is good enough for me. I'm making a great living up here, and I'm a CFL star. This is good enough for me. Even though this is not my ultimate dream, this is still good enough for me, and they stay up here. And I respect that, but the fact is that a lot of these American star players, when they get NFL opportunities, they take it, and the GMs lose these guys in the NFL. And they're pissed off that they want the NFL. I'm like, yes, guys, they're American. Their dream was not playing the CFL. They're only here by default because they didn't get their NFL opportunity. That's why they're here. I'm saying, no names. Am I right? All you American players, yeah, Ivan, you're right. We're only in the CFL by default. Yeah, you're only here by default, guys, because you didn't get your NFL opportunity. That's why you're here. And some of you guys, when you do get to be CFL stars and the fans love you up here, you ditch our CFL to the NFL. Yeah, Ivan, because the NFL is a dream, Ivan. So how's that fair? That you guys get to shine up here when you never want to be here to begin with, and the Canadian players who actually want to play here don't get to shine? It's not fair. It's not fair, obviously. It's just not fair. There you go. But CFL is here. We don't care, man, if they never want to be here, man. They're very talented. They put us on television. This is how we're going to the league, Ivan. Yeah, it's a very weird way of going to the league. Anyways. Yeah. Guys and Sarah? Yeah. So Ivan, it's a bit selfish. Yes, it is. Yeah, the American guys get to shine up here in Canada, in our football league. Well, a lot of them never wanted to be here to begin with. They're only here by default because they didn't get their NFL opportunity. That's why they're here. Obviously, and some of them, when they get NFL opportunities, they ditch our CFL to the NFL. Yeah, Ivan, because that's playing up here is not our dream, Ivan. It's playing in the NFL. And the Canadian players who are drafted who actually want to play pro football over here, they don't get to shine. These American guys get to shine. It's selfish. It's not fair. That's why I'm sick of the bias, man. Putting up with it for years, man. For decades. Putting up with the bias for 25 plus years, man. Since I've been watching the CFL as a 8-year-old kid. I've been watching the CFL since like 2000. I believe I even watched a bit of CFL in the 90s too. I don't remember much about the CFL in the 90s, late 90s, but I've been watching CFL for years, man. Since 2000 when I was an 8-year-old kid, man. I've been putting up with American bias for years. But yeah, enough's enough. The CFL needs to be exposed. Don't hate him saying, yeah, for the world to see, right? Yeah. Sarah? So you open the Canadian people's eyes. Yeah, I opened the Canadian people's eyes. I also opened all the Canadian players in the CFL's eyes too. We know about the American bias. We didn't know that they don't trust us. Yeah, the CFL doesn't trust you, Canadian players who are drafted in the CFL. All the best Canadian players in Canada. They don't trust that you guys are good enough to put on quality, good quality football for the Canadian people. That's why they bring out the American guys. That's the truth, right? I don't mean to be an asshole. That's the truth. That's why they start all the American guys because they put on better quality football on television. That's why the American guys are the stars of the league. Like, duh, it's common sense. Like, holy shit, I didn't know that. Thank you, Ivan. You opened my eyes. Yes, that's the reason, obviously. Duh, it's common sense, right? Yeah. Yeah. I think some of the Canadian players agree with you. Yeah, they do, but at the same time, yeah, and I see what you're saying. Like, yeah, there's a bigger market value for the Canadian players. The CFL could be huge in like 10 years, but like the quality will dip. Like, yeah, I know. That's the dilemma. Obviously, the quality will dip, but the value of the league will most likely go up. But the quality will dip. So if the quality will dip, it's not as entertaining football. Even really makes a huge difference. Even though I'm entertained enough by the Canadian players, because the quality will dip, less people in Canada will tune to the games. That's why the CFL will never make that change. They see this risky. Obviously, yeah, if the quality will dip, less people in Canada will tune to the games. That's why it's never going to happen. Obviously, I hear jeez, I know. Guys from Sarah? No, I was just saying yes. Like here's all you American football fans, all you American football fans. I get what you're saying, but that's cold, man. Yeah, it's cold. But yeah, but the American players are better than Canadian players. Yes, they are, but they don't have big market value up here because they're from a different country. They don't have big market value to the Canadian people because they're American players. Obviously, they have a lot of value in terms of talent because they put on a show on television. That's true, but their market value is not that big up here because they're from a different country. Obviously, because the Canadian players may not be as talented. Obviously, the American players have a bit more of the edge, but they have bigger market value up here because they're Canadian. The Canadian people can relate to them. They know they got drafted. A lot of Canadians know they play at this CIS university. They're known talents, relatable or known talent to the Canadian people. The American people are not relatable to the Canadian people, and they're unknown talent. They're very talented, but they're unknowns to the Canadian people. The CFO markets those guys to the Canadian people, and people in Canada don't really care. So there has to be a reason why a lot of people in Canada don't really care, and they're not seeing much growth in their television ratings. There's got to be a reason, obviously, and I figured it out. I'm not stupid. Don't hate him, yeah. I figured out I'm not stupid. Yeah. Either the fans just don't care about Canadian football, or there's a little bit of a bigger market for it. But it's not with the American product, it's with the Canadian product. That's my answer. But I mean, one of those answers are true. I don't know which one is true, but one of those answers have to be true. Either fans just don't give a shit about Canadian football, or they want to see the Canadian guys shine. They don't really care that much about the American guys. That's my other answer. Samsara? Yeah. So I mean, it's the blindness of the American talent. Because the CFL is jealous of the NFL because it's so popular in the States and it makes its billions, and the American athletes in the NFL are so talented. Okay, let's bring the leftovers from the States and have them shine here because they're so fucking talented. And if we put on a show on television and we promote these guys and name people, this is how we grow the league. But yeah, because you're blinded by the American talent CFL. You're trying to be the NFL of Canada. Forget about the NFL. Stop trying to be the NFL of Canada. Focus on being the CFL of Canada instead of being the NFL of Canada. NFL's for the American people. The CFL's for the Canadian people. CFL's for the Canadian people. It's not for the American people. Don't care about the CFL. The CFL's for the Canadian people. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. So the CFL lost a lot. Yeah, the CFL lost a lot of amazing talent because of their bias. I mean, Anthony Coombs retired. Yeah, I checked on Wikipedia. Anthony Coombs retired. Like back in 2021, he retired. Obviously, and I read a bit of his history. He had a bust career. He had limited reps, and that's it. Because the CFL just has their bias towards American talent. I'm like, if you gave that guy his time to shine in the CFL, if they took away the American talent, man, he would have been a star running back, man, like Andrew Harris in the league, man. Obviously, losing a lot of amazing draft picks. Yeah, they're retiring because they can't take the bias. Also, yeah, I'm done. I'm trying my best to be a star up here, but what? I have limited. Yeah, even first round draft picks have limited opportunities. They have shitty careers. That's why the fans can't take the league seriously. CFL. Even your first round picks, a lot of them don't get the shine. They get limited reps. They sit on the bench, so they can't take the league seriously. Because you're blinded by the American. We're blind by the American down. Yes, you are. Because you're trying to be like the NFL in Canada. That's why you do that, obviously. Uh, so there's a difference between the NFL draft and the CFL draft. Oh yeah, the NFL draft. A lot of those draft picks get to shine in the NFL, and some of them will maybe be second, third string, but they get a bit more reps. Or in the later round picks, probably play special teams also. Whereas the CFL, even first round picks, they don't shine. They're all like special teams players. Like that's why the fans of Canada, they can't take the league seriously. CFL. You wonder why our league's not growing. That's my answer. Yeah, there you go. Don't hate me. Yeah. Yeah, Ivan, you're right. The CFL draft is noise. It's crap. It's a crapshoot. Yeah, it's a crapshoot. Barely any of those guys get to be stars, except for the alignment. The alignment and maybe a few receivers get to shine, obviously, because the main starting skill position for the Canadian players in the CFL are the receivers and the alignment. Like most of the star players are either the Canadian receivers, but it's mainly the alignment. The alignment are the main star players in the CFL because it's a non-skill position. That's why the CFL scouts, they love the alignment, the Canadian alignment, obviously, because it's a non-skill position. But the skill positions, they're not as valuable to the Canadian CFL scouts. To the CFL scouts, the American players usually are the stars of the other positions, obviously. Obviously, but there's a few Canadian star receivers in the CFL, but most of the star players are all these American guys, who I know nothing about, by the way. I don't know anything about these guys. Yeah. We got coffee, guys. So the door is closed on the Canadian players. Yeah, the door is pretty much closed on the Canadian players in the CFL. They don't get to shine up here and be stars. It's the American guys get to be stars. So the doors are kind of closed on the Canadian players, the way you look at it, right? Only a few of them get to be stars, and the rest of the American players in the CFL. That's how it works, right? Yeah. Fucking cold, man. Cold. Yeah. I'm sorry, man. The Canadian athletes are just not as talented. They don't put on a show the way the American players put on a show. This is risky. Our league revenue can dip, Ivan. Yeah, but guys, I don't believe it's about your quality. Quality is not the issue, CFL. There's another reason. It's not about the quality of your game. It has to be something else. And there has to be another reason why the fans of Canada don't care about your games. Because you've been putting on quality football for years, and yet the fans still don't care. So there has to be another reason why the fans don't care that much. And I figured it out. I know the reason. It's the American talent problem in your league, man. They don't listen to those guys. They don't really care that much about those guys. They care about them. They love them. But they don't care about those guys that much because they're American. They're from a different country. That's my answer. Or they just don't care about Canadian football. Period. Regardless of the quality, they don't give a shit. Obviously, that's my other answer. I'm your genius. I know. I'm a genius. Yeah. Yeah. I told you about the CIS. For the CIS, there's something called the Panda Game. I'm saying, see, the CFL knows. We know about the Panda Game. Yeah, you guys know about the Panda Game. The Panda Game is because there's two big universities in Ottawa. You have the Carleton Ravens, and you have Ottawa GGs, right? The Ottawa U team. My youngest brother played for the Carleton Ravens, and they have something called the Panda Game. And the event is so popular that they host the event at the Ottawa Red Blacks football stadium. And one side is like the whole, like a good 10,000 students, 20,000 plus students go to that game, and it's packed. One side is Ottawa U, the other side is the Carleton Ravens. It's packed. I went to the game one time. fucking packed with all these university students, and they're cheering their players on, and that's good enough quality for them. And those are not even the best players in Canada. That's good enough quality for them, and they cheer their fans on. You know what I'm saying? That's how you know there is a big demand for I believe there is a bigger demand for Canadian football, but it's not with the American product, it's with the Canadian product. That's my answer. But CFL told me Ireland won't make a difference if we make that change. I beg to differ. I think the league will grow that. In 10 years, it can almost double in revenue to a 400 million a year business. 500 million a year business in 10 years, or it could flop. Obviously, that's why people in Canada just don't care about Canadian football. That's my other answer, honestly. So, Sarah? Yeah. All right, the padding's popular. Oh, yeah. It's so popular that they host the event at the CFL Ottawa Redblacks Stadium. And the whole thing is packed. Like 23,000 fans. It's crazy. I went to one game when my younger brother played college football. I went to the game. It was packed, man, with thousands of fans. One side is the Carleton Ravens, the other side is Ottawa U, the Ottawa GGs, right? That's how popular of an event it is, man. Yeah, man. And that's good enough to entertain the university students. And for some reason, the CFL thinks it's not good enough for the rest of Canada. You know what I'm saying? The committee will be like, you got a good point there. It's good enough for the university students, but like we believe it's not good enough for the rest of Canada. Yeah, and those are not even the best players playing guys. Like only maybe 2, 3 of those guys in each of those teams are going to be in the CFL, and the other guys don't make it, or they're unsigned, or a few of them are unsigned draft free agents. You have a similar thing in the states. Every NCAA team has a few star players who are eligible for the NFL draft. The other ones don't make it, or a few of them are unsigned undrafted free agents. And if they get cut at training camp, they end up here in the CFL, and the CFL takes the leftovers, obviously. It's how it works. I don't hate him. So, yeah. Sarah? All right, do you see the CFL ever making this change? No. Never going to happen. The bias has been going on for decades, guys. It's not going to go away. This has been going on for decades. This is not a recent thing. No, no, no. The American bias has been in the CFL has been going on for decades, man. Even when Warren Moon played, it's been in the CFL. The bias was there, man. It's been going on for decades. It's passed on to the league. That's why they're never going to change their mind. And the CFL sees it as risky because the quality will go down. Yeah, even the quality of the football games will go down. By how much will it be a significant drop? No, Ivan, but it will go down. Ivan, the quality will dip by maybe 6%, but it's still entertaining high quality football. And if your league doubles in revenue in 10 years, even though it's not as high quality football, it's still quality football. You get paid off. The league is now making more money, and you'll most likely get bigger Canadian sponsorship deals for your league and bigger deals from TSN for your television deal. Obviously, and companies will be more willing to endorse the Canadians than the Americans because the people in Canada can relate to the Canadians more than the American players. They don't know anybody's American guys. They can't relate to them. They're from a different country. I shouldn't say no. I'm saying, yeah, that's my answer. Obviously, I'm your genius. I know I'm a genius. Obviously, never gonna happen though. And because I know it's never gonna happen, CFL, you got to find a way to really attract Williams and the Canadian people by marketing your American star players because obviously the fans of Canada don't really care about your CFL, so you got to find a way to really, you know what I'm saying, no, you know what I'm saying, to really get them interested in your star players for your games because obviously something is not working in the growth of your league, right? No, you know what I'm saying, yeah, oh, you're such a fucking nickel. I'm just telling you the truth, but you're gonna have to find a way to get the people in Canada interested in these in the American product you're trying to promote on for your league, right? Yeah, you're gonna have to find a way. Here we go. Let me say, I'm gonna go upstairs and get my coffee. I'll be back in a sec. Who got to join my show? All right, guys. Well, I just get my coffee. Sorry, almost done here, guys. Won't be too long on the video, but yeah. So there's two ways the CFL can grow. Yes, the CFL is going to have to find a way to get the people in Canada interested in these American players. Obviously, to grow it substantially, that's another answer. Or it's the American talent problem. The fans are not resonating with the American players. Those are my two answers. They have to find a way to get the fans interested in these guys, even though they're American from a different country. They're unknown. They're unknowns to the Canadian people. That's my first answer, which I don't think is working that well. Or it's the American talent problem. The fans are not resonating with the American star players CFL. They want to see the Canadian players play, shine up here, and that's how the league gets more popular. But I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they just don't care about Canadian football, regardless of the nationality. That's my other answer. Yeah, that's what I'll tell the committee. Yeah, I believe there's two reasons why your league is struggling with growth. The fans, there's not that big of a market for Canadian football, or there is a bigger market for it, but it's not with the American product you're trying to sell to Canadian people. CFL, it's with the Canadian product. That's my answer. But or it won't make a difference. The fans just don't care about Canadian football. That's my other answer, obviously. So one of those answers are the truth, obviously, right? One of no hams, and one of those answers are the truth, obviously, right? No hams, and yeah. Because the CFL has been marketing all these American players for decades, and it's been seeing minimal growth. So obviously, it's been seeing minimal growth for decades, while the NFL has been skyrocketing in revenue. So obviously, something is not right. Oh, something's obviously not right. So I'm saying, yeah. And I figured it out. Something in my heart tell me, yeah, I know what it is. You know what I'm saying? Either the fans of Canada don't care about Canadian football, or they want to see the Canadians, our players, play. And that's why the league has been struggling for decades, because the CFL's blind by the American talent. They bring all these American guys who are unknowns to Canadian people. Fans love them and everything when they're CFL stars and everything, but they don't resonate that well because they're American. I think I might have found the key to growing the league. I think that's the answer. Or I could be wrong, I don't know. Maybe fans of Canada just don't care about Canadian football. That's my answer. I'm your genius, I know. I have the wisdom of God. Yeah. I'm sorry? If you think the American players are way better than Canadian players, no. To say they're way better, that's an insult. No, they're a little bit better. They're a bit. When you see them both play, the American guys and CFL and Canadian players, you see a little bit of a difference. The American guys are a bit more talented, a bit more athletic, but it's not a huge difference, right? As a star Canadian players, some of them are even just as good as the American guys, if not better. I don't see that much of a difference, but the American guys have the edge in talent and athleticism. That's why they're a bit more talented than Canadian players, obviously. Jimmy Coach like, yeah, you're right. There's not like a huge difference, but they're a bit more talented. Yeah, they are. They have the edge and athleticism. The American guys who come up here. Obviously, that's why they're all the stars, because they put on more of a show on television, obviously. As when I see Nathan Rourke play, I don't see a difference in quality with Nathan Rourke and Zach Collaros and Blythe Mitchell. I don't see a difference, man. He's just as talented as those guys. Nathan Rourke. And Nathan Rourke might win MOP this year, MVP. Yeah. Obviously. I think only for the quarterback position. The quarterbacks are the only ones who have a shot to win like MVP of the league. But the other positions, I think it's outstanding Canadian. Because the CFL has a bias towards the awards too. He said Nathan Rourke has a shot of winning the MOP, which is the MVP of the league, right? Most outstanding player, yeah, in the CFL. And so I'm rooting for the BC Lions to go to the Grey Cup. Nathan Rourke can win a Grey Cup. That'd be fucking cool, man. The Canadian quarterback taking his team to the Grey Cup. That'd be fucking cool. Some sorry. Yeah. Yeah, you got a good point there. Yeah, man. Imagine the CFL and TSN panel talking about Trey Ford and Nathan Rourke and, I don't know, Brandon Bridge. Like, which one of these quarterbacks are the best quarterbacks in the league? Like, I'll be more interested, man. I'll be tuning in. Oh man, this is sick. I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? And you're more excited for the games. It's Canadian homegrown talent. That's why I think it could be huge. But CFL, we don't care. It's risky. The quality will do. We're never going to do that. The best way to promote, to market the Canadian Football League is with the American product. Yeah, but you've been marketing them for years and you're seeing minimal growth. So obviously something's not working, right? Don't hang him. Yeah, something's obviously not working. There you go. Don't hang him. Yeah. Yeah. I saw the video on TSN. They said, yeah, it's Nathan Rourke, the face of the CFL. Enoch Mwamba and the other guy were talking about it on the TSN thing. And that's how you know there's a bigger market value for the. Why is Nathan Rourke? Why are they talking about Nathan Rourke being the face of CFL? Because he's Canadian. The Canadians can relate to him more than the American guys. And that's how you know CFL. We know that, but it's risky, man. They're not as talented. We have to market our league with American players. Yeah, you have no choice, CFL, to market your league, the promotion of your games and for your league with the American players. If you want them to be the stars, right? Yeah, you have no choice, right? No games, and yeah, you have no choice. There you go. You have no choice. So it works, right? Yeah. Yeah. You know how many times when I go to the bar, you know how many times when I go to the bar and I see the CFL games played on TV and all that stuff. Yeah, man, like TSN is nationwide CFL, so if you promote all these Canadian players, a lot of people in Canada will be like, holy shit, man, like CFL's not Canada, man, these are the best Canadian players. A lot more people tune in, man. It can be huge. Because TSN is nationwide what? Coverage, right? It could be huge, but because the quality will dip, they're scared less people will tune in. That's why they're never going to make that change, obviously. Yeah, it's risky. The quality will dip. It's not good enough quality for the Canadian people, even though all the other best players in the pro leagues are good enough for for those leagues. The CFL is the only league that doesn't trust the Canadian players to put on good enough quality football for the fans who are watching, because they have their American bias, obviously. It's very weird. I'm sorry. Because I know it's never going to happen. Yeah, I mean, it's never going to happen. The best way forward for this to grow this league is promoting marketing the American talent to the Canadian people, our star players. Okay, CFL, even I think it's a bad idea. If you want to market the American players from a different country, the Canadian people, you're gonna have to really find a way to get them interested in these players because you're seeing them grow. So obviously something is not working. There has to be a reason. For every business, there's always a key. Obviously, there's many stories about businesses that have been struggling and they found a key to fix it. I believe there is a key. There has to be a key to fixing the CFL's financial struggles and its growth. I don't know what it is, but that will be my answer. But there has to be a key to growing it substantially. The CFL, obviously, don't Anderson, yeah. There has to be a key, obviously. So I'm sorry. To fixing the league's financial struggles, obviously. There has to be a key, Samsara. All you Canadian fans, you should be CFL commissioner. No, guys, I'm too big for your league, man. To be CFL commissioner, I have to sell to the gatekeepers, and the CFL will do me. Like, they can't afford me. I'm worth more than the entire league for crying out loud. But hypothetically speaking, if I was an average person, I did not have the keys. I became CFL commissioner, this is what I would pitch to the committee. And they will lock me up as crazy. No, guys, I don't think I'm crazy, but I believe this is how you go to the league. You market the Canadian product instead of the American product to the Canadian people. Market these guys to the universities on TSN, and this thing could be huge, but they'll believe me. No, I mean, that's a good marketing strategy, but it's not a good idea. They'll call it whatever. Yeah, put them to do better conditioning and training, like Herb Brooks said. Obviously. What kind of training? NCAA training. Have all the draft picks, put them through extreme offseason training, and you can pull this off. I even know it's risky. Yeah, if you don't do this, I'm stepping down as CFL commissioner. I can't grow the league. Ivan, it's not about that. It's not about, it won't make a difference, Ivan. I beg to differ. So you want to grow the league with American talent? Yeah, Ivan, that's how we grow the league. Okay, well, what's your business strategy for growing a league with the American star players in your league? They tell me, we don't have an answer. We try everything we could. Yeah, you try everything you could, and yet the fans still don't care. So obviously there has to be a reason, obviously. Not Anderson, yeah, there has to be a reason, obviously. Obviously there has to be a reason. Fortunately, can happen. Either the fans don't care about Canadian football, or there is a bigger demand for it, but it's not with the American talents, with the Canadian talent. And they're all blowing Ivan, man, like, you're a genius, you know how to convince us. No, we can't take that risk. Yeah, if you don't do this, I'm stepping down as CFL commissioner. I can't find a way to grow your league with the American product. I don't know what to do. Obviously. Yeah, we try everything we could, man. We do commercials with some of these players. We market the heck out of them on TSN, yet we're not getting much television viewership. We're trying, Ivan. Yeah, you guys are trying, and it's not working. So obviously, something is wrong, obviously. There has to be another reason. Ivan, maybe it's the quality. No, it's not about the quality of your game, CFL. Your CFL games are almost as good as the NFL. Not the NFL, but almost as good as the NFL. And the fans still don't care, so obviously there has to be a reason why they don't care that much, the fans. The Canadians in Canada, they don't really care. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, Ivan, you could be right, but man, it's risky. We can't do that risk. Sorry, Ivan. No, we're not doing that. Yeah, I'm stepping down as CFL commissioner. I can't help you. Oh, hey, that's how it works, right? Yeah, I'll step down. Yeah, and then I'll step down. Okay, you guys are pissing me off. You downgrade the Canadian talent. You're blinded by the American talent. I'm out of here. I can't find any way to grow your league. Obviously, that was my answer. Anyways, guys, here's where I hope you guys enjoyed my CFL video. Peace out, guys. On Anderson.